Lucius Varro had never truly seen the sea until the day he stood among 80,000 men, a human ocean beneath Rome's crimson banners. The wind whipped the cloth, snapping like the drums of war, as the legions prepared to push deeper into the wild heart of Gaul. In that single, overwhelming moment, the boy from a quiet vineyard outside Rome understood he had stepped into something far larger than glory, far heavier than fear. He had stepped into the relentless hunger of an empire that never slept. He had joined for the promise of land, for a handful of coin, for the simple dream of one day returning home, respected. But Rome did not move like a dream. It moved like an immense iron creature, its breath the barked orders of a centurion, its stride the endless march through mud and rain. It built walls every night in enemy territory, so perfectly constructed that by dawn, a fortress stood where only open land had been the evening before. As the weeks bled into months, Lucius felt the softness of his civilian life peeling away, layer by layer. His world shrank, becoming the solid weight of his scutum against his arm, the constant grinding ache in his shoulders, and the unending rhythm of boots against the earth, a pulse that beat day and night. The Gauls, the people whose land this was, watched from the dark shelter of ancient forests and from the misty peaks of hills. Their horns would echo at dusk, strange and mournful, sounding like the voices of the land itself, whispering a warning that Rome did not belong here. The first great battle shattered whatever boy remained in him. It was a clash near a wide grey river, where a thick fog clung low to the water, blurring the world into shades of shadow. The two armies stared at each other across the divide. The Romans stood in silent, unnerving formation, a wall of discipline and steel. The Gauls roared and beat their shields, a cacophony of defiance and fury. When the signal came and the charge began, it was like two opposing worlds colliding. It was order against chaos, discipline against raw fury. Lucius felt the shock of the first impact travel up his arm as swords hammered against his shield. He saw men he had shared wine and laughter with the night before fall with their throats opened, their eyes wide with surprise. He killed not from courage, but from sheer terror. He stabbed forward, again and again, because his training screamed louder in his mind than his conscience ever could. Afterward, standing among the bodies drifting in the red-streaked water, he learned that victory tasted of metal and smoke, not of triumph. There was no sweetness in it, only a hollow ringing in his ears. Yet the campaign rolled on, a merciless machine. Villages were burned so the enemy could not return to them. Fields were trampled under the hobnailed boots of thousands. Prisoners were chained and marched behind the legions, their faces masks of despair. And always, somewhere nearby, was Caesar.com, calculating, speaking of Rome's destiny as if destiny did not scream when it was pierced by steel. Lucius began to notice how icily the men cheered for the general who never stood in the front line, how much cleaner war must look from the back of a horse. Then came the brutal cold of winter, and with it, the great siege of a hill fortress. Here, Rome's genius for engineering turned cruel. They built not one wall, but two, a ring to trap the thousands of Gauls inside the fortress, and a second, outer ring to keep any relief armies from breaking through. The entire landscape was transformed into a cage of earth and timber. The days stretched into a frozen, gnawing misery. Food ran out on both sides of the walls. Lucius watched as desperate civilians, driven by starvation, tried to leave the fortress, only to collapse in the no man's land between the two Roman lines, too weak to walk back, too forbidden to go forward. He watched a mother try to wake her small child, a child who would never rise again. His orders were clear, no one passes, and as he held the line, something inside him cracked, a fissure deeper and more painful than any physical wound. Still, when the final assault was ordered, he climbed the ladder with the rest. He climbed because Rome did not stop for broken hearts or fractured souls. Atop the walls, the world dissolved into a whirlwind of fire, arrows, and screams. He fought with the detached efficiency of a machine. He nearly died there, beneath the heavy sword of a towering Gaul warrior, a giant of a man fueled by the defense of his home. But then Titus, his friend, his last living link to shared memories of home, the last echo of easy laughter, hurled himself into the enemy. He dragged them both over the edge of the wall in a desperate, final embrace, a fall that ended to lives in order to save one. When the fortress finally fell and the Roman horns sang their song of triumph, their brassy notes echoing over the carnage, Lucius did not cheer. He only stared at the golden eagle standard as it was raised against a sky thick with smoke, standing over a field of corpses. He understood in that moment what this victory truly cost. Rome had taken the land, it had taken the walls, it had claimed the victory, but it had also taken Titus. It had taken the gentle boy from the vineyard who once believed that honor meant goodness, that courage was a clean and simple thing. That night, as snow began to fall, soft and white, blanketing the silent battlefield, Lucius came to a final, bitter realization. Empires are not built by heroes. They are not forged in glory. They are built by ordinary men who are slowly, methodically, emptied out. Emptied of their dreams, their laughter, their love, until all that remains is the armor they wear, the orders they follow, and a soul too tired to even remember what peace ever felt like. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing for more journeys into the past.